It's the final day of San Diego Comic-Con 2023, and I'm here in person with an exclusive interview with Hasbro. I'm also going to take you on a tour of the show floor and show you some amazing one-of-a-kind items that will drop your jaw. And I'm going on a vintage Star Wars hunt, so let's go. We are with Chris here at Hasbro. So Chris, your announcements that you've done at Comic-Con has the whole collecting community pretty much buzzing. Hey, do you listen to suggestions that some collectors did before you put out with it?
You know, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a very big part of what we do. We pay attention to the community because it only helps us if we get people what they want.
Everything you guys have been announcing, I've been like, okay, I'm getting it. And then the next thing, okay, I'm getting that. And the next thing, I'm like, okay, just stop. The one thing I think everybody was really worried about was the ghost. People were talking about it for years, months, hoping that it would be this mummified, but now this. So what were your reaction to the responses that you would get after any messing announcements?
The response has been fantastic. This thing's such a big ship in the show. You see some great detail on the engines back there. Working with Lucasfilm, we took the reference and assets from the new Ahsoka series. So this version of the Ghost is based off of the live action appearance of the Ghost in the Ahsoka series. All the deco, all the detail. We've got the Phantom 2 shuttle back here. See all that great detail down the sides, the weathering all over the ship. We even got the front loading ramp folds down on this. You get kind of a sense of the scale of this with the figures in front of it. It is enormous. It's the biggest starship we have ever done. The Phantom 2 pops off the back. We've got a little chopper built into the Phantom 2. We're going to start to see some of the lounge in the back of the ship here. Great gaming table, different chairs and stuff that you've seen in Rebels. We've got the crew quarters on the center of the ship here, so we've got a single bunk room for Hera, the pilot's quarters. On the other side here, we've got a bunk bed room for the crew quarters over here, so you can use that for anybody else's quarters on the Ghost. Up here in the cockpit is all prototype stuff. Even if you're looking at the images, the renders we have on the website on HasbroPulse.com, you'll see that the sidewalls in the cockpit have even a little more detail in those images. Those are a little bit more final than this model. There's a moment in time in our development process, but we wanted to have something physical for size to show there. So we're even adding a little more detail to everything as we go.
I know you've done this before. We hit 17,000 at a tier. If we do it early, would you guys add another tier and maybe add a chopper?
Well, we have done some rise at the late tiers. It's not out of a possibility. 17,000 batteries of potential customers for a piece is a pretty good argument to do a piece.
When you guys released or announced the retro line, there was a big buzz, especially the Lonamont Burger Max. Can you now tell me what goes in to planning a wave at the same price? Yeah, so you go to the bench and test it. What goes in that way?
We do. The retro stuff is a passion project of mine. When we're doing retro, that's me. I like to hold on to that. I want to, like, as the designer on retro, I love that one. I worked with the guys who did the original figures back in the 70s, the 80s, and it's not hard to kind of continue that. So when we get a chance to do new ones, like, that's fun. That's great. Doing new versions for new content in that classic style. But extra special to me is to be able to extend the classic trilogy to the characters that weren't done originally. And Mon Mothma is a perfect basic character. She's a major character in that Rebel briefing scene and Kenner never got around to doing.
If you're a vintage collector, it's hard to decipher what a best metal blaster is. So that's in there. Or best metal blaster, we're anything out of the metal. Did you guys talk about that?
Yeah, and since we're working our scale, it's a range creating, and there is a different like Yak Face's stat for each of this. The details on that are probably a little bit crisper than they are on the original, just because we recreated it.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Yeah, and thank you guys.
So now that we've seen everything that's coming out in the Star Wars universe today, now we're gonna go and try to find some vintage Star Wars. And it might be a challenge to find anything vintage Star Wars because this convention is huge. But if I've learned anything these last 2 years, it's how to hunt for Star Wars vintage toys. I did end up finding Star Wars vintage, and even though I found some vintage playsets that I'm hunting for right now, they were a bit out of my price point today. But I did find a carded Rebel soldier from The Empire Strikes Back that I needed for my collection. The seller wanted $180 for it, but after examining the card and seeing that it was punched, the bubble was slightly yellow, but the card was in decent shape with only a few veins in it, I made an offer for $125 and the seller accepted. I thought that price was fair. And using my Red 5 Designs mini guide, I found out that this is a 32A Master card back. The Rebel Soldier was released in 1980 on the first wave of the Empire Strikes Back 31B cards. So even though the one I have isn't its debut card, it's still a great display piece. And because I'm at Comic-Con, I decided to get a comic book. And seeing that I bought the Star Wars #1 comic book at the ICC convention in Nashville, I decided to pick up the Star Wars #2 comic. It's listed as near mint condition, and the only flaw I see in it is a small bend in the corner. Very hard to see. It was selling for $100, but I asked the seller for $80, and they agreed. This comic first debuted in August of 1977, and it's the first appearance of several characters, including Jabba the Hutt. I placed this in an acrylic from one of my show sponsors, BF's Displays, for 100% UV protection. So that was my San Diego Comic-Con 2023 experience. I know that this year was different because of the Screen Actors Guild strike and the writer's strike, and that made studios pull out of showcasing at the con, but honestly, it didn't feel any different. Don't get me wrong, I support my brothers and sisters who are protecting their livelihood and protecting their art, but that isn't the reason why I come to the con. I come to hang out with a few 100,000 of my closest friends, to celebrate pop culture and to celebrate the things that bring us all together. Because there's an energy there that you can't explain when you come to the San Diego Comic-Con. Seeing how excited people get for announcements, seeing the look on a kid's face when they see a cool cosplay, or friends who see each other once a year to come together at the con. And that is what makes the San Diego Comic-Con so special. So thank you to Hasbro, Thank you to Blue Harvest Vintage Toys on YouTube. And to those of you who came up to me and said hi, I'll see all of you next year at the SDCC. And if you found this video interesting, please give it a like. And also, please subscribe to see more content from me. And to make all these videos possible, please join my community on Patreon. Or if you want to keep your support right here on YouTube, join my memberships there. I thank all of my supporters. Without you, these videos would not be possible. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time. If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.